And it says we're alive now. Again, I'm doing solo. I'm doing producing, all the good stuff. You know me, Leslie, the problem child. Before I introduce my awesome co-host to the left, let me make sure that everything is on the up and up to make sure that y'all can hear us and everything is fine, all that good stuff. Bear with me. Make sure that y'all can Yep, I can hear your ugly voice. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Collect All Monsters, another supplemental stream. And we got one of our most loyal supporters and a super cool dude. I'm glad to call him my friend. Avid kaiju figure collector, the one and only Frank B, all the way from Japan. How you doing, good sir?
Oh, hi, gozaimasu, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, Sunday morning, from out here in Kanagawa Prefecture in Japan, by way of Yokohama, Yokosuka area. I'm really excited. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to come on here and share my experience from 311 and try and give you guys a better insight on why Shin Godzilla is really an underrated Godzilla film within the community, and try and put to bed some of the criticisms that you may have because you don't have a better understanding of the background on
it. And again, you basically told the world, at least told everybody here, why we're doing this stream. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Again, yes, 311 is celebrating. It's not celebrating. It has its anniversary this upcoming week on Wednesday, the 15th anniversary, where Japan got hit with a massive earthquake. 15 years this week. A 9.0 magnitude earthquake, one of the strongest earthquakes ever recorded. It hit the northeastern coast of Japan, which also triggered a tsunami, which killed thousands of people, displaced thousands of people more, injured a lot of people. Also, that tsunami reached the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, where that plant suffered, reactor meltdowns and radiation leakage, and just a triple disaster, really, caused by the earthquake. The earthquake came, then the tsunami, then you have the nuclear plant disaster. And all those events inspired Shin Godzilla. So to commemorate that tragedy, this conversation might be a little bit uncomfortable for people who may not understand what happened with Shin Godzilla and a lot of things that happened in that movie. I thought it was important to talk about the tragedy itself and how it leads into Shin Godzilla. So maybe if you're one of those fans that dismiss Shin Godzilla because it was so dialogue heavy, or maybe it was just too much for you to handle for whatever reason, I'm thinking maybe a better understanding from somebody who was actually there, boots on the ground, so to speak, through that tragedy will hopefully help you understand that tragedy. And maybe you'll come around on Shin Godzilla just a little bit, who is also celebrating its 10th year anniversary this year as well. So before we go any further, let me highlight a few of the comments in the chat right now. We got Helmy. What's going on, Helmy? He said he's excited for his boy Frank. Of course, Nathaniel Plummer, thank you for being here. We do appreciate it. He says, I love Shin Godzilla. I want a sequel for it really bad. Shin is my 5th favorite Godzilla design. I want a statue of it with its long tail, straight and flat to the ground. Satomi Ishihara is cute. You get no argument from me. Let's see. Fancy Cats. He said I would try to pay attention to another Shin Godzilla discussion, but I may dream about Anna Sawai and Monarch doing this show. Hey, you know what? That's cool. But you know what? You might want to pay attention because, again, that's the purpose of this discussion, this supplemental, to get a better understanding. Yes, I know Shin Godzilla has some eye candy, but really the crux of this discussion is to talk about what happened over there and the poor response the government had towards its people, which, again, we all saw cinematically in Shin Godzilla. So that's the point of this stream. Michael Heng is here. He says, how's it going, guys? Can't wait to dive into Shin. Great to have you, Frank. Let's see. Jedi Granville. What's up, man? What's going on? And, of course, Tōhoku Tim. What's going on? Thank you very much. Now, before we go into the Shin Godzilla discussion, or at least the 311 discussion, I should say, it's always customary of me, Frank. I don't know if they asked you this when you was on back in November, I believe. That's when you was on the show last. But it's always customary of me to always ask, whenever I interview somebody or talk with somebody on this show for the first time, what was your first Godzilla film that made you a fan, and what is your favorite if they're one and the same?
So my first film I was exposed when I was a little kid, probably like 5, 6, about the same as my son, RT, who you've met, was 84. So Return of Godzilla. So the American version, because it showed up on Channel 5, like WB or whatever it was back in the day. Because my grandma raised me and she's a huge Raymond Burr fan. Well, was, but probably still is, probably chilling with him on a couch up in heaven. But that came on and I was like, wow, this film's like crazy, never seen anything like that, especially as a kid. My favorite film though, that's a really tough question. It changes like daily, but I'm gonna have to say Godzilla Mothra 64. Like that, something about that film, the music, the special effects for its time and age, just the drama of it. The human characters are really like intense and relatable. And most importantly, like, so one thing I'm really keen on, and I know we had this discussion, is I like to pick apart these films and I like to look at the backgrounds to show you like the time and era that these films are shot in. And some of those films, especially the early Showa films, there's little hints and pictures like how trains look, how telephones look, some of the cars, things like that. Like it gives you an insight picture. And so that's why 64 Mothra Godzilla, like that's one of my favorites, because you really see the in-depth in that.
Okay. That's Sandra Frank.
What's up?
Yeah, Frank's kind of tired, babe. He worked like 94 hours in like 3 days. So, but again, thank you for doing that. But yeah, you know what? Mothra versus Godzilla. So that means you with me, David, Jonathan Portman, Rich Viso, AJ Russo. Like we all love that. That's our favorite film as well. And you know what? To say that that's our favorite film when you got -1 out there, of course, Shin Godzilla, GMK. That says a lot about Mothra versus Godzilla. I know some people try to say it's overrated, and that's fine. But I'm glad to see we got another Mothra versus Godzilla person we can add to our club. We're growing, baby.
He's got a shelf down there.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my man. Oh yeah. So I mean, I already told you, like, we're going for pizza. You trying to make me buy your dinner the entirety of G-Fest weekend. But seriously, thank you for sharing that information. And as part of Collect All Monsters, how long have you been watching our content? How long have you been part of our group, or just in general?
That's a good question. So I know I was sporadically watching Kyle's Kaiju Cast when I was stationed in Italy in NATO back in like 15, 16, 17. And I want to say I really turned on to you guys like in 2020, 2019, like sometime around that time period. Because like it really seems like, let's be honest, like COVID was 2 years ago, but it's crazy to say it was like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So I want to say it was around that time period, because I wasn't really into watching live until about 2023, when I was really winding down my Navy career and I had a little bit of extra time. But I was definitely watching the episodes like, midweek, like a week or two after it filmed, or a week when I had time at lunch or whatever. But I've been watching for quite a while, and you guys really inspired me to like sit down and honestly sit there and criticize some of the films and look at the collectibles. And more importantly, you guys have really inspired me, and especially Kyle, like shout out to Kyle, because to critique my collections and say, what do I actually love? Like, how should I display things that I actually am like truly in love with? And how do I want to show the world like, oh, this is what I like. This is the films I like. This is the things that I really think are cool. Because let's be honest with it, we're living in beautiful times of saturation of the market.
Yeah, but at least in your case, you don't have to worry about any shipping nightmares like we do. So
I got to worry about bringing it home on the train.
Yeah. See, that is the extent of your problems. Me, I got to worry about if the shipping is going to be more than the figure itself. Then I have to worry about what tariff they're gonna put on top of it once it hits me domestically and all that good stuff. All you gotta do is get on the train, go to Monterrey, and boom, so you're already doing better than us. So,
yeah, or stand in like a line at a convention for 6
yeah.
hours.
I would still do that than pay an extra $85 just to get something to my door.
True.
But wow, you say you've been watching us since 2020. Honestly, that's when we started. We started like a month before the pandemic hit.
Oh wow. Okay. So I've been here since the beginning then.
Yeah, because Kaiju Cast ended. I think that 2019, and once Kaiju Cast ended, Kyle went to somewhat directly.
Yeah, it was like 2019 when it ended.
Yeah, so went into Collect All Monsters pretty much after that, right? And so again, the world went to crap after like our second or third episode, and even though there was some dark times, I kind of felt like what we did was so needed because everybody was stuck in the house and they needed content, and plus a lot of people like us, have collectibles, and it was a weird time, but hopefully during that time we brought the importance that while you're stuck in the house, value your collection, fall in love with what you got, maybe you forgot about some things that you bought, so
true.
The fact that you said that we did that for you, really do appreciate it, and you have reciprocated in kind because you're always there at our shows, you're always supporting, you're always posting in our group, not to mention the wonderful stuff you did for us in Japan personally. Thank you so much. Again, on behalf of David, Christine, John, Kyle, Jonathan, everybody on Collect All Monsters, we really do appreciate you as a person and appreciate everything that you have done for us and for our brand. Thank you so much.
Anything. And to everybody out here in the community, like if you hit up Japan and you have questions, you need help, anything, or you're looking to do some stuff, please hit me up. I'm always here to assist because I'm truly blessed to live in Japan as long as I have.
Yes, because when Sandra and I and John went to Japan, yes, we saw Frank, several times there, and he secured a van for us one day, and we saw some great Godzilla spots and a Godzilla store, and we had fun on Godzilla Day. So yeah, can't wait to see you again. Come G-Fest again. Pieces on me. So and I'm sure I'll see you again when we go back, early February next year. But that's another story for another time. So let's talk about 311. So basically what I'm gonna let you do, Frank, is just, if you can, just walk us through that day. Because were you there in Japan on 311?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so can you walk us through that day?
Yeah.
What you saw, what you experienced, maybe what your cohorts or co-workers experienced. The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
All right. So to give people some reference, I wrote down a ton of notes here. I'm going to go through the hard numbers of this natural disaster, and then I'm going to lead into the story. So you guys have some perspective. So the Great Eastern Earthquake of Japan happened on March 11, 2011 at 14:46. So that's 2:46 p.m. So that's a couple hours, 3 hours after lunchtime, as my cat wants to join us.
Catzilla.
That's Fatba right there. So this earthquake was a 9.1. It's the fourth largest recorded earthquake since record keeping's been taken. It's known as the Tōhoku earthquake. It was 6 minutes long. I think that's what really makes the difference.
6 minutes?
Yeah, it was. It seemed like it was like 45 minutes. I'll be honest. Like it just didn't end. It was 75 miles off of the largest city of Sendai, which is the largest city in the northern prefectures. Basically about the same size as Osaka, like land-based. The population isn't as big. After the earthquake, there was 13,386 aftershocks, which lasted almost 2.5 weeks. The earthquake was 18 miles deep into the ocean and underneath rock. So that's what made it so devastating. This is the largest and most costly natural disaster in Japanese history. It was $360 billion US at the time, but in today's currency, it's $515 billion. There was 19,759 personnel that died, 6,422 injured, And currently, as of today, there's still 2,553 missing. 65%. Yes.
Still missing?
Still missing, unfortunately.
15 years later, they still. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just never knew.
No. It's absolutely crazy, some of these numbers. So 65% of the dead accounted for 60 years or older. So the elderly age group. The air temperature at the time, what a lot of people don't think of, was 32 degrees and snowing in most prefectures. So when the tsunami hit 8 to 10 minutes later in some of the prefectures, you barely had time. After 6 minutes of rocking, massive damage to structures and infrastructure being collapsed, you had 8 minutes to get to higher ground. And then, unfortunately, in a lot of these prefectures that were highly damaged and affected, there was no higher ground to reach because if you can pull up, Leslie, the picture, last numbers are 85.
Is it? Let me see if I can. Hold on a second.
Yeah, that one. Okay. So that guys breaks it down to you on centimeter wise how high the waves reached. So you can see in those pink areas, we're talking 800 centimeters. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, you're talking 10, 15 of your gigantic X pluses tall. And that's how high the waves reach. But that doesn't necessarily.
How fast was the waves coming at Japan?
Roughly about 50 to 60 miles an hour.
Jesus.
Yeah. And what most people don't realize, it's not a wave. It's mostly like a tidal surge. So it's not going to be a wave like a tsunami, like you think in the pictures, like the Great Kanagawa wave. Mm-hmm. It's a tidal surge. So when you see those numbers of 900, 400, 300 centimeters, it's going to rush until it reaches the elevation of that.
Okay.
Yeah. There was 7 tsunami waves that came off of this. So the tsunami actually lasted 4.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
where were
4.5 hours.
So where were you when these tsunamis hit or when the earthquake happened? Like, where were you?
So if you can pull up picture 1635, I will begin my story. So ladies and gentlemen, I arrived in Japan. No, it's 35. You got up 37. So I arrived in Japan on the late evening of March 11th, 2011. I came in 35, the next one over.
Okay. Because don't really say on my end. Just let me know when I get to it.
So I arrived on March 11th. On March 11th, it was like my second day in Japan. And that is my ship that I was on, DDG 82, the USS Lassen. And that is a picture 3 weeks earlier of what it looked like. Mm-hmm. So at the time that I arrived, there was massive scaffolding there. The gold anchor, which is on the right-hand side in the picture, right next to the 82, had been craned off along with the looks like a 1/4 mile of chain, which each chain is about the size of you, Leslie. Like, they're huge.
Oh, wow.
So it was on the floor there. All the water had been pumped out, and we're sitting on gigantic wood blocks. So this is my second day in Japan. I was really excited,
Mm-hmm.
I was scheduled at 3:00 to meet with my captain, the CEO of the ship. And, around, it seemed like 2:30ish to me, the earthquake hit. So over the announcement systems, I vividly remember the guys just screaming, "Get off the ship now or you will die." So I was in the bottom section of the ship because that's where the supply department works. And if you don't know, I was a postal clerk in the Navy. So I was the mailman for the ship. So my main office was in the bottom. I raced up 5 decks, so 5 floors, to escape through the main hatch in the medium. And then if you can see on the left and right hand side, there's tiny bridges which one person can pass. And you had to make it across the bridge while this thing was dancing, popping up 1 to 2 feet up into the air.
Oh, okay.
As the earthquake was happening. And there was people on the outside, helping each other get on and get off of it. So as soon as you got on there, I know, Leslie, you had been to the Yokosuka area because I brought you guys through there. It's very hillish.
Yes.
So you, from the base, you can see pretty much all of Yokosuka,
Mm-hmm.
but you were unable to see anything because of all the dust and debris like had come up into the air.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like it was surreal. As being someone that came from Southern California, like I grew up, born and raised in LA, like an earthquake of that magnitude, like was honestly like scary even to me.
Mm-hmm.
I had lived through Northridge, which was 1993,
Mm-hmm.
1994, something like that, which was pretty big, but nothing on that scale. And it wasn't a jolting type of earthquake. It was more of a rolling in the Yokosuka area, but
Mm-hmm.
it was still pretty terrifying because I thought this thing, my ship was just going to flip over and
Right. Yeah.
cause all sorts of damage. But that's where I was when it happened. The leading events in the next few days. So we had a massive hole in the side of the ship. They cut a big hole to take out our osmosis system,
Mm-hmm.
which makes salt water into fresh water. So we don't
Right.
have to, constantly pull into port. They hadn't pulled it out, but they had cut the hole. So their solution was they craned the anchor, the chain, and a bunch of equipment onto the front of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
They duct taped a blue tarp and they tugged us down to Nagasaki to Sasebo base.
Oh okay.
Yeah. So, but unfortunately, like once we got down to Sasebo, there was no housing for us. And like so many people in the collective area, no one knew what was going on. Like it was so much confusion. You would ask a question, no one knew what was going on. The base didn't know, the local government, the Japanese government, the US government, no one knew what was going on. So once we received down to Sasebo, which is down near Fukuoka for your guys' reference,
Mm-hmm.
um, they basically sent all us back to the States. They were like, hey, there's this school open. We're going to send you to this and you're going to be there for like 2-3 months. So I went back to Virginia. I went to additional postal schools. Well,
Okay.
the Japanese were doing whatever they needed to do to my ship or could do because it wasn't in the dry dock status anymore.
Okay.
And then once we returned, which I want to say we got back into the fight around like September,
Okay.
we were doing patrols off, not directly off, but like in the Fukushima area, like trying to pick up any personnel or bodies or anything like that. For me, I pulled the short straw and I was the guy who went out with the Giga, machine
The Geiger
scanning.
counter.
Yeah, Geiger counter,
Okay.
going out looking for radiation. And I got some health issues from that. Unfortunately, like I haven't had cancer or anything like that, but like I've had some effects from it. And
They
yeah,
put you out there like that?
yeah, they did. Yeah. I know quite a few people who were on the USS Ronald Reagan, the aircraft carrier, who they were doing immediately helo ops to save people off the shores, not knowing that the radiation had happened. And unfortunately, like a lot of the crew on the flight deck, the top of the ship that's not shielded, developed cancers and health issues because of what I alluded to. No one knew what was going on.
You
They
could have
didn't
died
know.
from that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I think that's why I really resonate with this movie because no one knows what's going on. Like US government, Japanese government, local governments, your work, your friends, like no one knew. You knew something was up because as soon as stuff would get brought up, it would go hush hush hush, don't talk about this. But you're like, it's kind of crazy. So in a mindset, like that's really my experience, like personally with it. And I will add to the fact, this is 15 years ago on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
There's still, I got it written up here. There's still 150,000 Japanese that have been relocated and have never gone home. That's the population of a small town. Like,
Wow.
yeah, 150,000 personnel. That's crazy.
I still can't get over that they sent you out there and you were literally walking into radiation areas, and you could have got sick, you could have got poisoned, and their response was,
Didn't know. And to be honest, I'm not angry at them or anything like that because no one knew, you know? It's not like you were hitting large scale radioactive centers. Like we were quite far away, but that small exposure over time,
yeah,
yeah, it adds up, which it did, Like my health is pretty good, but I'm careful when it comes to stuff, just because I know I've been exposed to things like that, which is kind of cool because, woke me up. Oh, I need to take care of my body, things like that. And then also by sharing my experiences and stuff like this, I'm grateful for that fact because I can make people aware of the entire situation.
let me ask you this, because you said something when um, when you, when we did the stream, um, with Kyle, early this year about the war of the Godzillas, and as we were talking about Shin, you made a comment saying that the film really showed how disgruntled the Japanese people were with their government. From your perspective, why do you think their response to the situation was so poor?
So in Asian culture, more and also like in a Middle Eastern culture, there's something called face. Like they want to save face. So we see it a lot in American politics that people don't want to fess up and say I've done something wrong. Like it's it's the inability to say I messed up. This is the truth. This is what's going on to save face because they're so scared not only in America but like anywhere that oh this happened under my watch so my party or my government my group whatever is responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest, it doesn't matter who was in charge when it happened, it's the response that would have caused that. And at the time so many people here, whether it was personnel living on different bases, and Nathaniel just hit it right on. It's a pride thing. It's a huge pride thing here in Japan. They don't want to admit, oh, it was under my watch. And it's really just like if they would have just come out and said, this is what's happened, this is what's going on, this is our response.
Mm-hmm.
We need assistance, or it's okay to say you need help when you're down and out. And let's be honest, they're down and out. They lost, tens of thousands of people dead, tens of thousands missing, 100,000 plus people displaced from their neighborhoods. Entire areas are wiped out. And I didn't even mention this. Like I was talking to some of my coworkers to share their experiences because I work in the heart of Yokohama. They said the train lines and all electric grids were down for almost 15 hours. So a lot of people were walking 10 hours home from work.
Are
Because
you serious?
if any of you guys have ever been to Japan, no one lives in Tokyo. Everyone lives in the outskirts, whether that be Chiba, Yokohama, Saitama, Hochijoji, like all the different outskirts. And some people travel like 1-2 hours by train to get to work every morning.
Mm-hmm.
So those systems go down. You've got to walk home.
Wow.
So a lot of the guys were telling me, yeah, like when everything happened, the entire bay almost, like the outskirts of Yokohama, emptied out and everyone was just running because they knew what was coming.
Mm-hmm.
But once everything calmed down, because the tsunami barely impacted that area, thank God, they had to walk home. And one of my coworkers said he walked 10 hours home, and he tried to call, to say, hey, I'm not coming in the next day, because he didn't get home until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So It's crazy to think. Like it's really, really crazy to think and put into retrospect of like today.
Right.
Yeah.
While you were out doing your Geiger counter reading, how much devastation did you see?
I'm really thankful that I tried to minimize going up topside. That's what we call it, like outside. Because it wasn't uncommon to see pieces of houses or a piece of a person.
Mm.
Yeah. Like it was just everywhere out there for months. As the years went on, it slowly became like you wouldn't see anything in those regions anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, after recovery systems and what we called Operation Tomodachi, which means friendship, that was the recovery and assistance there. Like my ship's focus was more on the South China Sea and dealing with the Chinese threat. So we didn't deal with it as much, but I do, it's like ingrained in my mind. We were in Sagami 1, which is the huge bay off of Mount Fuji, south of the peninsula where I took you guys, for the Godzilla slide and everything like that.
Yeah.
There was an entire house, an entire Japanese house just in there, just floating.
Wow.
We went dead in the water and everyone was just outside looking at it like, holy cow. Because, some of the sailors on there had been in the Navy 20 years and never seen anything like that. So
wow.
It's just little experiences like that it really brought you the retrospect of how helpless and like you have no power, no will to stop some of these things.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I'll tell you where I was when I heard about the disaster. I remember that was 2011. I first got my CDL that year, and I was working for an outfit where I was on a box truck. I wasn't in tractor trailer, but I was on a box truck, and I think I was new to Facebook then. I didn't get the hang of it like I do now. Again, I was just new on social media, and I just saw reports about the tsunami, and somebody, I don't know who it was, but somebody, because I'm on Godzilla groups, obviously, somebody insensitive Photoshop Godzilla doing the happy dance on top of the tsunami footage. And even I thought like that was just in poor taste. I didn't really get the crux what was going on because they shared the news over here, but they really didn't go into detail about what really happened over there. And so when I was getting, researching more about 311 to prepare for this discussion, again, which is one of the reasons why I want to have you here and tell your story. I did not know that all that was going on. And I came across a story about, is it Okawa Elementary School, where I think it was 100 students there. I think 74 died because they got the wrong information.
Mm-hmm. I heard about that one.
I may be remembering the details, but I think something happened where I think they were waiting for instructions and to either go topside or go down or something like that. But by the time they decided to go where they need to go, the tsunami was coming their way. And so, I get real sensitive when I hear children dying because I'm a father. So I think any human does. But as a dad, I get real sensitive when I hear just children dying for whatever reason. And so I can only imagine, what it was like for people and families there just to not come in contact with loved ones, or, it's just a sad thing. Again, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if this conversation is a little bit uncomfortable, but again, I think these conversations are needed to understand what really happened over there. As it relates to 311, every 311 March after that point, does Japan do something to honor the victims or honor what happened that day?
So depending on where you live, the response in the day is very different. So I have a very close friend, like we used to stand watch and, we would look forward to it, to be honest, because we were having the best time just standing out there coking and joking. But he got to be a senior enlisted leader up in Misawa. So Misawa, Japan, is in the very northern prefectures, and honest, those were some of the hardest hit areas because they're all flat and they're rice field areas. And he said the entire week is very somber, and there's ceremonies like almost nonstop. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, really? Because down in Kyushu, it's pretty much a full day. So Nagasaki, Fukuoka, and Saga prefectures are some of the most largest prefectures that refugees came to.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually had a neighbor on my street that they lost their entire house. She lost her husband and her 2 kids. Sweetest lady too. So
Oh,
I'm just
man.
like, yeah. And like she would be out there and praying from sun up to sundown. And I was like, okay, I get it, because I was here, and we talked about it once or twice, through translator. So she was like, oh, thank you, thank you. Like she didn't realize I was in Operation Tamagotchi. And but here in Tokyo, not so much. And I think it's just because there's so much youth here. And sad to say, like a lot of people have actually kind of forgot about it. And I hope they really don't forget like some of the lessons learned in that time frame. But sadly, it kind of is that. Like last year, I remember here in Yokosuka, there was no siren because they normally just do a siren at the time at 2:46. Nothing here. They did one up in Yokohama, but here, no. So it just really differs from where people are. And honestly, of course, up north near Sendai and all those other prefectures up there.
That's really interesting because, when 9/11 hit us, 2001, yeah. It's like even now to this day, like they always do something to commemorate what happened that day. Again, not to celebrate, but to at least honor the victims and the brave souls that risked their lives to save people. And I thought for sure Japan would have had some type of day or some type of universal type of understanding, but
you would really think so. You would really, really think so. But sadly, they don't. Like it might change in the future, like when we get to the 20th anniversary. And especially with today's government, which is like a little more on that side of like making remembrances of things. So I'm hoping they do something like that, just so it's like a learning point, because we're at this point, let's be honest, we're 15 years and there's a 15-year-old walking around Japan that wasn't affected by it at all. So they don't understand the importance of information and what to do during those tragedies. And we really haven't had too many big earthquakes that have really affected Japan other than Noto, which was 2 years ago, but like not to that scale. And the earthquake previous to that was really big was Osaka in the early 90s. So it's going to be quite a while again, and I get a little scared about that. That's why, like we were talking previous, I don't have too much X Plus because I'm terrified. If I get that beautiful MonsterVerse Ghidra behind you, if I have that here, this thing's going to go yeet, 4.5 feet off my wall. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, because again, I thought that, they would do something more. You think that's more of the Japanese mentality, back to business as usual?
100%.
I mean, I know even you have said it. Japanese are very, very reserved, and yes, they can be passionate, but it has to be a very, very special reason. But again, you think it's just about back to business as usual? And
100%. Like PDA, public displays of affection, emotions, things like that. It's not a common thing here, and it's not a thing in Japanese culture. And if you show things like that, you're almost seen as like a foreigner because they're like, "What is he doing?"
Yeah, I kind of got that when Sandra and I over there. And granted, we weren't all over each other, but we understood, that you have to be, mild mannered. Don't be talking loud in public places, and try to be respectful as much as you can. Respect is a big thing in Japan. So we were very, very mindful of that. But do you agree with that sentiment of business as usual, or do you think some
No,
acknowledgement should happen?
no, like some formal acknowledgement should happen. Like it should be. I don't want to say it should be a public holiday because public holidays here are so far and be uh, they're so far apart. And like public holidays are the Emperor's birthday, Children's Day, Showa Day, Nature Day, like things for a reason. But I definitely, like I said, I could see at the 20-year mark them making it like Remembrance Day, you know, something like that. Because they do have a unofficial holiday in Osaka
Mm-hmm.
for the remembrance of the big earthquake.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every now and then, do you still get triggered by what happened?
Almost definitely. Like, because here in Japan, your phone, it goes off every time you get an earthquake, and I have it preset for 5 and above. Because I'm at the point where a 3 hits, so I'll just sleep through it.
Oh,
But I hear that alarm and it instantly puts it back in my mind. Like instantly.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you think Japan will ever be over this?
No. No. Like, let's be honest, if it wasn't for Godzilla, what's the number one thing from Japan that pops in most people's minds? It's the Great Kanagawa Wave artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's embedded into their history and part of their culture, which it's just popped in my mind. In one of the prefectures, in one of the villages, um, the tsunami actually washed away large portions of land. And underneath the land, there was a stone that said, "Don't build from here to the ocean,"
Mm-hmm.
because they knew tsunamis happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it had been buried by sediment and wherever. So it's kind of crazy that it's like, oh wow, like how many times in the past has this happened?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but thank you for sharing your
Oh,
story and that you were there and what happened, and you gave people a window, a perspective that I'm sure a lot of us didn't really know. I'm sure I know I didn't know anything about. But let me just say, thank you for your service. Thank you for doing what you do, um, and thank you for surviving, because it could have went the other way. And
yeah, most definitely.
here you are, living and breathing. You got a beautiful family. You're making a lot of us jealous because you live in Japan on a full-time basis. Um, so don't get it twisted. Telling your story, you are now inspiration for a lot of people, And again, I wanted to have you here so you can tell the story and give people more enlightenment as relates to what happened over there with that disaster and Shin Godzilla. And hopefully, at some point, maybe Japan will acknowledge it more. I think the citizens deserve that. Um, but it's the world we live in, and
Yeah.
and it just goes to show you, like, those were natural disasters that nobody saw coming, and you couldn't
Hmm.
stop, you couldn't prevent, and you just had to just. I think that's one of the reasons why, me personally, I love the solo Godzilla films, because
Hmm.
they depict him as such in a way sometimes where you can't stop him. All you gotta do is just he'll come in, and you can do what you can to try and survive while he's there, and you got to pick up the pieces as you move on. Like, I've been more
Yeah.
attracted to those stories. Now, don't get me wrong, we all love when Godzilla fights monsters and aliens, but I don't think enough love is devoted to the solo Godzilla films, because there's a lot to love when it is us versus him.
Hmm.
With that being said, let's transition over to Shin Godzilla. As I remember correctly, you weren't in Japan when Shin Godzilla came out, right? You were in Italy, right?
Unfortunately, I was in Italy, so I had to watch this film in Italian,
Okay.
which was
So
brutal.
I was going to ask you, how was that?
That was absolutely brutal. Like whoever, I'm hoping it's changed since then, but the voiceovers on that thing when I saw it in theater,
Okay.
oof.
But when you finally saw it in either Japanese with the English subtitles or whatever version that you were able to understand and digest the story,
Hmm.
what were your thoughts?
So The first time I saw it was about 7 to 8 months later after the release,
Mm-hmm.
and I got let's be frank, because I'm frank. I got a pirated version that I watched that was in Japanese, and
Mm-hmm.
I watched it with my wife. And my wife is, if you haven't guys met my wife, when you come here, you most likely will, because I bring my family everywhere. But my wife is fluent. And she looked at me 10 minutes into this movie and she's like, I don't know what the hell they're saying.
Oh wow.
They're talking so much and so fast and using words that like you only use in, this situation only ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's just looking at me. She's like, this is the most complicated, like over the top film I've ever seen. And then I was like, yeah, this is really a reminder of Japan, isn't it? And she was fully in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's what I got out of it the first time. When I eventually saw it with English subtitles, because I'll be honest with you, I don't even think I've seen it dubbed. Like I've only watched the Japanese version
You
with
ain't missing much, trust me. You ain't missing a damn thing.
But to be honest with you, like the more I watch it, because I'll pick up things in
Mm-hmm.
different sections, like because there's so much happening in this film.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a great representation of the Japanese government, Japanese office culture, Japanese power structure. Like it's so hard to understand. Like I'll ask you this, Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
If you had $1 million in cash and you
Mm-hmm.
came up to a guy and you wanted to buy his house and he was like, cool, how long would that process take?
But it shouldn't take that long. I guess I have to wait for him to move all the stuff out, but
Yeah.
if,
But like paperwork wise, like what, a couple weeks?
yeah, if that maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I did the same process, ladies and gentlemen. It took 2.5 months. Because you got
Wow.
to go to like 17 different offices, all the local bureaucracy, the prefecture, the governments, all the different sections of it to get all the stamps and approvals and everything and have meetings and all this. It's like, are you serious? Like I have cash. I just want to give this guy cash and get keys. Like we just both want to move on. But
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the culture here that everything is so boom, boom, boom. So the one thing to answer your question, after taking it so long, like this is such a great reference and breakdown of how complicated and overcomplicated systems here are in Japan and why the inability during 311 to respond quickly. And it should have been a wake up call. And this film is a great criticism, not only in my respect, this is one of my favorite Godzilla films. Like, it's a great criticism film of how poorly the Japanese government is set up to respond to natural disasters or real world events.
Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, when you first saw it, was there a scene that maybe triggered your experiences with 311?
What without a doubt, when uh trying to get them not mixed up, it's Kanagawa-kun.
Kamada-kun?
Kamada-kun, thank you. Kamada-kun's coming up the like Ota or Oshi River, and all the vehicles or boats are getting pushed out of the way,
Oh
and
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
humanity's just spilling over, everyone's running. And
yeah.
there's a specific scene where there's a street and it's uphill and the water's rushing and everything's coming and that guy's just running for his life.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's to this day, it still makes me so uncomfortable because it just sparks all those news images and everything that goes in there. And it just shows you how helpless we are. Like it's, to be honest, if Shin Godzilla was real, like how hopeless we are. Like there's nothing you can do but run. And I hope you can run fast enough.
So, with that being said, because it tied itself to a real life tragedy,
Mm-hmm.
why do you think the movie became so popular? Where basically Shin replaced the Heisei Godzilla as the poster boy for Godzilla. It won so many different awards. Of course, even -1 came out, and that's a great film, but still, people are going rah for Shin. Like, why do you think this film has such an impact on just Japanese culture in general? We'll get to the American side because that's a different story.
Yeah.
But Japanese culture in general, why do you think this movie was such a big thing?
I think unlike 84, because 84 opened up a whole new window, this Shin opened up a whole new door to possibilities within this. And one of my favorite sayings is nostalgia is hell of a drug. So you have the ability to capture people who were children during the Showa period, people who are middle-aged from the Heisei period, and a whole new realm of fans that are children from the Monsterverse. And not only that, but you produced a movie that was so well done cinematically that it captured the attention of the entire nation here, that you could watch it and, one, criticize the government as almost a protest. Number two, the story of this is actually intriguing. Like, personally, I just think the last part of the movie kind of falls off, but like,
I can see that.
The first part is so captivating and so intriguing because you're just watching, sitting there like, are you gonna do something? Are you gonna do something? You know, like it's building, and like he's so slow and methodical, and you're just like. And then thirdly, at the time period in 2016, there were no films like this. Everything you saw coming out in theaters here, or even previous to that, was older comedians making spin-off movies of their TV shows, and here and there an anime. So there wasn't, you know, a live action, just horror film that was like this. You had like Ring U and all that type of stuff that spawned Ring in the States, but nothing at this point, and nothing that you could really connect.
Okay. Now, as it relates to Shin Godzilla, you know, the movie, let me throw some, because again, we're going to go towards the American side of things, because this film, I mean, let's be frank with it, it was a polarizing film, you know, when it came to us Western fans. I was very open-minded about it, but I know there were a lot of fans who were not open-minded about it. Like, when the Bandai figures of the early films of Shin came out, like, people automatically saw that and they just written it off, and they dismissed it because it wasn't what they were expecting. But again, I've always said the beauty of this film is them doing something that you were not supposed to expect. Because again, 2014 Godzilla, and I didn't want to talk about this just a little bit. 2014 Godzilla really reinvigorated people's interest into Godzilla, right?
It's so
and when 2014 came out and it did well, or at least it was received well, it did well enough. I was more intrigued by what Tōhoku's response was going to be, because the last time that happened, 98 happened, then we got Godzilla 2000. But I find it very, very interesting that with the 98 Godzilla film, they tried something extreme. It was a departure, but it was something unique and something they've never really seen before. But with 2000 from Toho, they really just played it safe. Here we are many years later, and you can argue that 2014 kind of plays it safe with their interpretation of Godzilla. And Shin Godzilla, the response is more of an extreme departure. Would you say so?
Oh, most definitely. Like, Toho really took a huge financial risk in releasing this movie, because I don't think people understand, because in the States you have so much competition for movie theaters. You know, you got, I can't even name them off the top of my head, but like, because I haven't been back there in 10 years. So when I make it to G-Fest this year, like, I'm going to be in a little culture shock, you know?
Yeah.
But I remember you had Regal, you had AMC, you got, who else? Like, you got like 4 or 5 major players around the States, right?
Right, yeah.
Here in Japan, you got 2.
Oh wow.
You got Toho, and then you got what's the other one? It's like CFX or something like that. Like, you got basically 2 movie theaters. and they're actually movie theaters. They're just not companies that make movies. So
Right.
if this would have bombed, and not more importantly, if people would have taken this the wrong way as
Mhm.
why are you protesting the government? Like this could have financially tanked Toho. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, but this absolutely like put Toho in a new realm and re-sparked that interest that you're talking through the MonsterVerse. Like people were like, "Oh wow, Toho's bringing back Godzilla," because after Final Wars dropped, it
Yeah.
wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing here, and I'll be honest, like I think without the financial ex- explosion from Shin Godzilla, we might not be in the same realm that we're in today because Toho would have never gone out there and made a -1.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, and you know what? I want to bring it up as relates to 2014. I know, you know, there's some people who are kind of tired of the MonsterVerse at this point, and that's fine. But
Mm,
I do believe that the MonsterVerse deserves, at least 2014 Godzilla deserves some acknowledgement for really starting the kaiju boom that we're going through right now. Like you ain't got to like the MonsterVerse to acknowledge what the film kickstarted and how everything snowballed into what we got going on right now, to the point where they even back then, like people started that I'm sure you saw it online, that ridiculous that beef between Shin Godzilla fans and 2014 fans. Like if you choose one over the other one, you're not really a real Godzilla fan. Like that was embarrassing to say the
yeah.
least. But I was just happy because now we're living in a time where we're getting basically different versions of Godzilla from two major different studios from different parts of the globe. Like, if you could have told me that back in 2014 or 2013 when Pacific Rim came out, before 2014 Godzilla came out, I
Hmm.
would never have believed you, you know? But I enjoy the MonsterVerse because they're popcorn flicks. They're over the top action
Yes.
popcorn flicks with monsters. I'm fine with that. With Shin Godzilla -1 is more of a deep connection, thought provoking um, type of deal with the character. And I tell you, when me and Sandra first saw this film for the first time, when it came over here to the States, we saw it like on a Tuesday night, right?
Okay.
And granted, it was a lot because again, it's in Japanese. There was
Yeah.
subtitles, and there's like 1,001 characters, and they all got different titles. So you're reading a lot of different things all at once while you're still trying to get what the actors are saying while still trying to digest the story. That could be a lot for some people. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? That could be a lot. But the film was so different that normally after Sandra and I leave a movie theater after watching a movie, when we're walking at the theater, we're talking with each other, cackling with each other, saying what we like, what we didn't like, whatever. I swear to God, after we left Shin Godzilla and we went to I think Red Lobster, which is like maybe like 10 minutes away, between us leaving the theater, going to Red Lobster, waiting for the first appetizer to come out, we didn't say one word to each other.
Hmm.
We were that moved by it. We were like, "What did we watch?" That's why when I asked you when we did our stream earlier this year, do you think the fandom was ready for a film like Shin? And to me, I wasn't ready. I mean, I
Hmm.
knew it was going to be different, but I didn't know it was going to be that different. Where even to this day, I mean, thanks to you, I can better understand it now. But really, before this conversation, I had a hard time really fully understanding Shin Godzilla, and I was intrigued by that. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to know why all these things happened the way they did. So again, by you telling that story, it really puts it more into a better perspective for me. Now with Shin Godzilla, I know your favorite, like you said, is Mothra versus Godzilla, but I'm sure Shin is in your top 10, right?
Oh, I would say it's number 4. Like it's right outside my top 3. But
Okay.
I would almost say it's on my Rushmore because
Oh, okay.
without Shin, you don't have a -1, and
Absolutely.
you don't have a Shin Ultraman. You don't have a Shin Kamen Rider. You don't have the Bullet Train explosion.
Wow.
And what we're looking at here is these movies are so good from Toho, they're now popping up on Netflix.
Wow.
And Netflix has a partnership with Toho here in Japan.
Hmm.
So eventually you're going to see that in the States.
Do you have a favorite character from the movie?
That's a tough one because there's so many.
And they're all interesting.
Yeah. Like I can't remember the top off the top of my head, but the guy that's right next to the prime minister, that if the prime minister dies, he would jump up there. The older guy.
Wasn't he Yuki in Space Godzilla?
Yeah, he
That
was.
dude? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I look at him and I'm almost like, you are the prime minister, because the prime minister didn't know what he was doing the entire film. He was just like, are we doing this? Are we doing that? You know, and he's looking at all his advisors, and his advisors are looking at their advisors, and their advisors are looking at their advisors. Like, so it's like almost, but he was the only one that, like, he never talked to anybody. He was like, Suri, hi, onegaishimasu. We need to, like, take action, do this. You need to do this now. And it's like, what should I do that? You know, he's looking around, and it's like that. So that guy, like, he really captivated me, that I was like, you're so experienced in this whole procedure of nonsense.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I think the prime minister gets a bad rap. I think because he's inept in making solid decisions and sticking with them. Like,
yeah.
But I look at it like this, especially after watching the film recently. I'm like, put yourself in his shoes. If you pulled in 3,000 different directions and you're hit with a situation that's unprecedented, because it seemed like he really cared about the country and the citizens, and he didn't want to see anybody get hurt. But put yourself in his shoes. Like, how would you deal with something like that? So I think that the criticisms of him is kind of going too far, in my opinion.
Well, it's also like, you need to understand how Japanese politics works here. So it's not necessarily there's a right and a left. Like, there is a right and a left, but your right may consist of 11 different parties, and your right may have 8 parties, right? And what they do here is they make coalitions, and the coalitions win the majority of the government, and then they elect a prime minister.
Okay.
So the people in Japan have no power on who the prime minister is. It's who they vote for in their prefecture that's going to say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make this coalition, and we're going to nominate somebody that has our ideals. So it's almost like, you know, this guy's not even elected official. He's elected by his party as a representative of their agenda. Wow. So that's a different mindset that, like, Americans especially, they're like, oh yeah, I'm voting for this president because this president wants to do this. Like, it's completely the opposite here. It's like, you know, they could elect me. They're like, Frank's going to be prime minister because we like his beard.
And you would get in because of that.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's some people in the chat that was acknowledging your beard. Yeah, I seen it personally, ladies and gentlemen. Man, he makes ZZ Top jealous. That's how epic.
Oh, I had to cut, like, you know.
Yeah. My favorite character would probably be Ogashira, that the low-ranking scientist that basically solves everything pretty much in a way. I just found her really, really intriguing, even though she was very standoffish and she was kind of robotic in a way.
Yes.
Not a personality, but she does kind of show that towards the tail end after Shin Godzilla is neutralized. But and she's also great in this show called The Hotspot on Netflix. Please check it out.
That's on my list now.
Yeah, please check it out. But yeah, like, she's like, you know, it's a Japanese show, you know, with English subtitles. But yeah, please check it out. It's called The Hotspot, and it's on Netflix.
That's the one about the hotel near Fuji.
Yes.
Yeah, and the UFO. Okay, yeah.
So please check that out. Now, let me hit you with some criticisms that us American fans, at least some Westerners, have when it comes to the film. Let's get your response to it, okay? We already covered about the prime minister. That was one criticism. The film has way too many dialogue scenes, and it's too repetitive. What's your response to that?
So that is the criticism of the government itself. Like, specifically, I'll go to this scene, if you guys can remember, or if you go back and rewatch it. So they're talking back and forth about the implementation directly involving the military. And they have all the code of conduct and all the treaty stuff and all the bylaws that they have to go through. And it's talking about how complicated it is. And it's just going over and over and over. And they're battering back and forth. And they're like, Section A, Section B, Section A. That's exactly what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. That's It's so freaking complicated to do anything here. That's one of the main criticisms. And like I've heard from the US, it's like, what's going on? Why are they talking so much? It's like, if anything, I told this to a buddy of mine, and I saw the light bulb come on. This was the West Wing Godzilla film. We got an insight into their government stable, and then battering about current issues, but the current issue is Godzilla.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on, going to maybe another criticism, or maybe some people may be patriotic. America is not presented in a positive light in this film, not for the most part. So what's your response to that?
Well, you have to remember that in most of the early Showa films, we were talked about pretty badly. Like I had brought it up to you, a very underrated film in my mind, Raids again.
Right.
It shows them on the scene in a train, and the train does not look luxurious. It doesn't look good at all. And I alluded to you that during that time period of the 1950s, there was two different train systems. There was train systems for Americans and Allied forces here, and then there was Japanese trains. And it kind of blew you and David away that you were like, well, wait a minute, what? There was a train station would have two separate sides, almost like segregation in America. So those little things that are mentioned in the film, like I talked about back in Godzilla and Mothra, those are the things that I'm very interested in when I rewatch these films and I really pay attention. So that's why we're painted in that light, because it was almost a criticization of like, well, we can't even do anything without consulting America.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Shin Godzilla himself. A major turnoff for a lot of people was the fact that he goes through, well, before we get to the forms, the fact that he's not a resurrected dinosaur in this movie. He's a sort of life form that starts off small and then he gradually evolves into a gigantic monster. What's your response to that?
Any form of Godzilla, I find it interesting because this is how the director and how the screenwriters talk to us. And they show their envisionment, whether it be -1 with his power of regeneration, whether it be, let's be honest, 98 Godzilla and the director's fascination with Jurassic Park.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whether it be the 2000s, the Millennium series and their take with the, Mohawk spines, whether it be the goofiness of the 1960s, 70s Godzillas. Like a lot of those directors are speaking to us, and showing us their transition and in their mindset what actual Godzilla is.
Okay. Now let's go towards the forums. Let me see if I can pull up those pictures I sent you of the forums. Which one is that? Which one is that? Let me take some of these out the stage so you can.
Yeah. And then I'll throw them in.
Okay. Just bear with me. Okay. Keep my studio. Oh, shoot. I don't think I can. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. Oh my God, no. Oh man. Sorry, folks. Hold on. I got Frank by mistake. There you go. Woo. Here we go. Sorry.
My bad.
Sorry, Frank.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Am I here?
Let's see. Yeah. Just bear with us, folks.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Sorry, Frank. I didn't mean to kick you off. Hold on. Just bear with us, folks. Okay, let me see if I can add them. Hold on, just bear with me. Okay. Okay, that'll work.
Can you hear
Frank,
me, Leslie?
You can put your camera back on now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just bear with us, folks. Sorry about that. Okay, here it is. Sorry.
No, sorry about that, guys. No, it's all good. Makes me feel old. You can't. All right, what about now? Now can you hear me?
Okay. Okay, Frank.
All right.
I still can't hear you. I'm sorry.
You still can't hear me. Oh man.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, I can't. I still can't hear you, Frank. I'm
you can't
so
hear me. No, it's all right.
Let's see if I can add the stage. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
You can hear me now or no?
Still can't hear you.
All right. Let me drop out and let me drop back in.
Can you take out your headphones or something? See? Let's see. Like plug it from your computer and see. Oh, we can?
Okay, so they can hear me.
I can't hear them.
But you can't hear me.
I'll tell you what. Here's what I do. Here's what we can do. Bear with me.
This is slowly become we're old chat.
Your computer and see. Okay, hold on. Okay, yeah. Okay.
All right. So Leslie.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Bear with me. Yeah, I can't really hear you, but that's fine. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna help Jonathan's in the chat, so I'm gonna have him help us out, okay?
All right. That sounds good. Sorry guys to take it off the chain.
Jonathan's in the chat, so I'm gonna have him help us out, okay?
All right.
Okay.
That sounds good. Sorry guys to take it off the chain.
So I'm gonna have him help us out, okay? That sounds good. Oh, I can hear Frank now. Hey Frank, can you say something?
Yeah, we're getting horrible echo.
Yeah, we're getting echo. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna remove you, Frank. No, not Frank, but Jonathan. Oh boy.
What's going on, David? We're showing our age. We can't figure out technology.
Okay. All right.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I still can't hear him.
Dang.
I'll tell you what. I'll since Jonathan's here, I'll be right back. I'll come back.
Okay. All right. So I got the stream. Sorry guys for complications and whatnot. We're doing our best.
Can't hear him.
Still can't hear me. Dang.
Hold on, I'm gonna add Jonathan to the stage.
I can't seem to figure out what's going on, but I'm trying to look at your audio settings here.
Sorry, this never happened before.
Here, let me hop off and try.
Oh, it's because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Okay, hold on.
What's going on, David?
Okay.
And we can hear your phone, like the audio off of
Yeah,
that.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, that's the thing. I can't. It might be on my side. So let me just. I'll remove myself. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. So while Leslie's out, I'll take the helm. Hey, so one of the things I don't think really a lot of people understand, especially if you haven't been here to Japan, especially in the Tokyo area, is that Japan in general hasn't changed much, especially Tokyo hasn't changed much in the last 15 years, 10 years since this film came out. So the direct path that Kanagawa-kun, Kamata-kun, and then Shin Godzilla in his final form, well, not his final form, but his final form takes, nothing much has changed. So the beach that he comes onto and then walks from basically Enoshima area up to through and into Yokohama, which then crossing the river into Tokyo Prefecture, and pretty much everything looks the same. So those areas you can physically go to and you can relate and you can see the different locations in the film. So it's super cool that, you know, like my family in the summertime, we go to the beach. Yep. And David's talking about Kamakura. Like Kamakura is one of the areas that he walks through. So if you see the specifically when he first comes ashore and you see the massive tail wagging back and forth, that's in Kamakura. Kamakura is most famous for the gigantic Buddha. So he's walking through a path that you can go to and you can see yourself and visualize how big he is. And then he ultimately comes to rest right near Tokyo train station, which is right next to the Imperial Palace. So I find that really cool, especially the scenes involving Shinagawa and Shinagawa-kun, because Shinagawa is the major hub for my prefecture, where you can change different train lines and then get into either Shinjuku, Shibuya, or on the other side, Tokyo, Ueno, Rakacho, or like when I go and meet Kyle to go see the re-releases in 4K at the Hibiya Toho studio. Can you hear me at all, Leslie?
I can hear you now through my mobile device. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you at all. So
You
did you
can?
want to, yeah, did you want to take the helm and talk about the different forms, whether it be Kamata-kun, Shinagawa-kun, or the final form?
Yes. 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 Let me just add it to the stage. Hold on. So, 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 what is your overall thoughts for the fourth form of Shin, the awakening?
So the awakening is actually my final, or it's my favorite form. From the moment he steps onto or steps out of the ocean, out of Sagami Bay, and walks
Okay.
ashore at near Enoshima onto Kamakura Beach, like he is absolutely terrifying in the amount of size and just mass he is. How you see the different tiles move on houses when he steps, and just his sheer presence, like it's absolutely captivating. And I have back there on my shrine to Shin, you can go to a temple right off of the river base, and you can see where the battle was to keep him out of Tokyo Prefecture and keep him in Kanagawa Prefecture. So I love this form so much. And let's be honest, the first time you see his heat breath and everything there, it's just so cool.
What do you think about the red version, the before we get to the Awakening version?
More or less the same. You know, like the Awakening version, with the flame, it's you see him cutting through Tokyo, and like I alluded to, you were in the stream, how Japan really hasn't changed too much since this film has come out, and you see so many of the different wards and shows that are affected. Like this is along the same lines. Like I love how his hands are like this. I don't know what it is. Like it's so menacing that he's like, I'm not even gonna have hands. I don't need hands. Like, and his teeth are something out of this world. Like how he has like teeth coming out of the side of his face and on top of his head. Like, props to whoever, I don't know off the top of my head, props to whoever designed these Godzillas, because they're absolutely terrifying.
Oh, let's get to Kamada-kun.
Hey,
So Kamada,
hey, Leslie.
It was right there. Where was it?
oh, look who joined us.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, look at little balloons.
Yeah, what's up?
Balloons,
what's up,
balloons
Kyle?
for
I was gonna
Kamada-kun.
add you, but
What's up, dude?
I've been dying here.
Hey, Leslie,
Yeah,
you might need to actually hop out and recalibrate and then hop back in with your headphones. You know what I mean?
He can't hear you at all, Kyle. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
No, I can
Okay.
hear you. I can hear both of
I
you.
was
No
afraid
problem.
if I hopped out, it might just shut the whole stream down.
You can do it now though, because I'm logged in as a producer. So if you hop out, it'll stay running, no problem.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the meantime, I'll just spitball with Frank a little bit.
Yeah. What's up, Kyle?
Oh, just got back into Japan after a week in America.
I was about to say, like, you must be dying a slow death after sitting on a plane for 12 hours.
No, actually, it wasn't too bad, to be perfectly honest. While I'm here, I'll say hi to people who are watching. I know you guys already did this, but
yeah, we got a lively group here.
Yeah.
For such a dark subject.
Oh, see, Leslie has entered the studio. Leslie is setting stuff up. But I saw David watching. What's up, David? Mark said hi to me. Hey, Mark, what's going on, dude? And Leslie's sideways.
Jesus Christ! What in the?
Hey, Leslie, I know that Shin Godzilla is like amazing, but wow.
What in the? You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna just do the rest of the show like this. It's fine. I don't care anymore.
That is hilarious, dude.
He's got topsy-turvy.
Yeah. This is one of my better known episodes, but thank you, Kyle and Jonathan, for coming in and making the save. You're more than welcome to stay with us for the rest of the show. We got like maybe 30 minutes, then we're out of here. But as a matter of fact, Kyle, before we kick it to Frank, what do you think about the anniversary of 311 coming up this week in Japan?
Well, I heard Frank talking about how not everybody does stuff, but I think it's not a celebration, obviously, but in remembrance of, not everybody does stuff around Japan in remembrance of 311. But I think it's actually probably a good idea to at least, kind of like Frank was saying, like you got to sit and process what happened, even 10, 11 years later, or where are we at? 15 years later?
Yeah, we're 15.
Something like that. Yeah. So I think essentially, like, overall, I think honestly, this has been a really great discussion. I've been watching it since, I think almost since it started, but yeah, the fact that we're at 15 years after when it happened means that there are a lot of people, young people, who have no recollection of it, and how it did not affect them at all. So I think it's just be a very good idea for the whole country to sort of like at least make it a day of remembrance, with a sort of promise to themselves to never let something like that happen again. In terms of obviously you can't stop an earthquake, you can't stop a tsunami from happening, but in terms of the response and how the government tried to save face and not ask for help when they needed it, and not be as responsive as they should have been. So I think it should be on people's minds for sure, especially on just a yearly basis.
Yeah.
Let me ask you both this: is there something that this film did that you didn't really particularly care for? Like I remember when Kyle, when you did the kaiju cast, right? And I think you were involved with a special screening when you still lived here in the States. And I remember your son, you were interviewing your son. He brought up a really good criticism. The fact that when they were deploying all those military rounds at him, or at least some of the sound effects when he's like destroying the city, they would utilize old Showa sounds, and those sounds coming from modern equipment was a turnoff for him. So do you have a nitpick or an issue with this film?
I mean, I don't disagree with that. Actually, I kind of, it doesn't take me out of the film necessarily, because I feel like my suspension of disbelief muscle is pretty strong, but I definitely I didn't appreciate it. And when I say that, I mean, like, I know that the creators of the film must have appreciated the original special effects, which is why they used them, because it's a love letter to all of the Godzilla movies by saying like, oh, we're going to put the Sumit Fukube music in this, and we're going to use like, hey, some classic soundtracks, like, and some sound effects as well. But it did sort of like take me out of it is not really the right word, but it did sort of like, it's a little jarring, and I didn't care for that. Additionally, while I enjoy the overall sort of like, I call it the sort of joke, the sort of like in joke, like, oh, look how incompetent the government is, and look that I guess what I would say is like, I don't love how overt the narrative is about like, look, we've got this completely ineffectual government, and Shin Godzilla is going to come in and just literally the snap of the fingers or a blast of the breath, that's all going to be gone. It's all going to change, and it's going to be the new young people running the show, and they're going to know what to do, even though they don't really know what to do. They're just going to figure it out on their own. And I guess overall it's a great movie, but it also very different, very unique feeling from any of the other Toho films. So it sort of really stands so much on its own that I don't think it needs a sequel. Sorry, Nathaniel. And and even like Mark is saying here, it's Anno. You just have to use your imagination. Anno, Hideaki Anno. He's the guy behind Evangelion and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, he is essentially like, I really do feel like the Shin universe is his universe. Like, no one else would be able to make a Shin insert property here, because it's his style, his sense of storytelling, his way of making it happen. So Shin Godzilla is very, very much like, hey, this is what you're gonna get with with Hideaki Anno's storytelling. Anyway, yeah, I love it though. I really do. I think it's a great film, and I'm glad it has so many people around the world that love it.
How about you, Frank? You have something that you don't like about it?
Kyle just hit it on the head with how the old government dies and the new young youth movement comes in. and they just are magically going to solve everything. That kind of irked me a little bit because I'm like, really? Like, you guys know any better? You've been raised in the same system. But I think the other thing that really is a pet peeve of me in this film is you don't see any characters in the actual real world that aren't in the government. Like, you're not involved enough with, like, said family that lived in Shinagawa or said family that lived in Shinjuku area or something like that. I think if they would have added or taken away a few characters from the government and added, like some storyline within the actual city itself to get a base of like what was going on the ground. And a little, I hate to say it, but like a little more gore, like in some of the film scenes when you see carnage, like if there would have been, a tarp or something on the ground indicating that, life was lost. Because they make a reference during the scene where they're talking about, oh, this fire was put out. Oh, this train system's back online. Oh, 100 people are dead. That's your only real reference other than, like these people were eliminated by the flame. Like, it's not really, you don't really get a grasp of how many people were affected by himself and like the destruction that he causes.
Yeah, you don't have that common man thread.
Exactly. Yeah. You see the family trying to escape from the apartment building in Shinagawa.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But that's
so fast, and they don't.
And they don't. And you never really see it other than that. Other than, like we were talking, Leslie, about that scene with the guy trying to run up the hill, escaping the water and the debris coming up. Like, you just don't see that enough, I think, in this film. And that's a major criticism on my part.
If I had to make a criticism, and I kind of agree with Tiger, Kyle's son, involving the sound effects, this may sound a little bit silly, but I do kind of wish that they would have gave Godzilla a definitive, unique roar. Like, them reusing old Showa roars is just... Like, the 54 roar does kind of fit Shin Godzilla, but I wish they would have gave him like a different, unique roar. Because, the early 50s Godzilla got a unique roar. The later 60s Godzilla got a unique roar. The early Heisei Godzilla got a unique roar. Millennium got a unique roar. Even Monsterverse, right? But with not only Shin, but -1, they're just reusing the 54 roars, even though they are augmented. But it's still the 54. I just wish they would create a brand new, unique roar that will be associated with said era, with the Red War era. That's the only nitpick that I have. I know it's kind of a shallow thing, but it's kind of like when they took away his guttural roar in 1992 and they gave him the high Showa roar. It's like Mike Tyson. You got this big, jacked up dude, but when he talks, he has the voice of a daggone Cabbage Patch Kid. I'm sorry, Mike Tyson, if you're watching, don't beat me up. But it's like, but when I see the high-pitched Showa roar coming from the Heisei Godzilla, it's a disconnect with me. So I kind of wish that they would have gave Shin Godzilla, or at least -1, a unique roar for the Reiwa era. I know I may be the only one that feels that way, but do you have a favorite moment from this film? Even though this film has some gut-wrenching moments, but do you have a particular favorite scene from Shin Godzilla? Kyle?
As someone who's completely unprepared to join the stream, I would say
and jet lag.
Sure, yeah, I can blame the jet lag. No, I gotta say, like, his Shin Godzilla's approach to Tokyo from Kanagawa, the whole scene, I guess more than a scene though, like where he shows up in the ocean and he's like massively huge, way bigger than he was in his previous two forms that we got to see, and he just starts coming ashore. Everything from that moment to the big attack where the lasers come out of his fins, like all of that is sort of masterfully done, in my opinion. It shows such great destruction. It's got some of my favorite shots, like when he's walking and you see the tiles on the roofs like starting to slide and
Yes.
shake and come down,
Yes.
and like the big giant tail swing that goes over. It's like so big and so huge that it doesn't even really affect the people that are underneath it on the ground. Like, to me, that stuff was probably my favorite whole moment from the entire movie. Like, what a great job of depicting Godzilla as this, basically like this god who's coming ashore, and like there's really not anything anybody can do. And it even goes up through the whole Tama River thing, which, by the way, got my Emma here. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna get off, but yeah, thanks for asking me, Leslie.
No problem, sir. No problem, sir. How about
Seems
you,
like
Frank?
everything's running smooth now, so I'm gonna just
Well, thank you for saving me. I really do appreciate
thanks,
it.
Kyle.
I was
Good seeing
dying.
you both.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay.
Get some rest, bro.
I guess
All
you
right.
could say, I guess you could say the same too, Frank. Like I say, you worked like 95 hours in 2 days. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm powered by 7-Eleven coffee right now, so I'm good to go.
My man.
Kyle's scenes, you know, they're some of my favorite, but honestly, my favorite part is when he's about to, or he just made the transition. No, he had just made transition to Shinagawa-kun. So in that scene, when he's right near Shinagawa Station, he basically just flicks the KQ line, local line, and just throws it away, and it's just disintegrated, and it's flying through the air. And in that moment, it shows people up on Shinagawa Shrine, which you can see from my local train line that I take up into Tokyo. Just up there, you know, like feeling absolutely hopeless. That, like, and this isn't even his final form. This is like, you know, his teenage form. That scene, to me, it resonates so much because I see it on almost a weekly basis, like that exact area, and I'm just like trying to picture how massive this thing would be, and it's not even the final form, and it's just like, you know, it's taken out a 12 passenger train, and the trains are massive, and the amount of weight just for him to just flick it, so cool. Like, so cool. Like, those little details, like, so cool.
Yeah, for me, it's when he deploys his atomic breath. Let me tell you, when Sandra and I saw that in the movie theaters, our jaws dropped. I've been a Godzilla fan at that point going on, 40 years, something like that. And I have never, ever seen an atomic breath attack like that. I see him sever King Ghidorah's head. I see him burn Tokyo to the ground. I see him fly with it, but I have never, ever seen that much damage in one shot. You know what? That's another thing I appreciate about the Reiwa era as it relates to Shin Godzilla -1. Whenever he uses his atomic breath, they don't take it for granted. They build up every moment, and each time there are severe consequences. Like, it means something when he uses that power. I think a lot of us Godzilla fans take that for granted. And I like because in the MonsterVerse, he just shoots it because he feels like it, you know. And that's not a slight, you know, it is what it is. But in -1 and Shin Godzilla, whenever he uses his breath, you know it's just going down. And I like how they build up that moment to the point where everything's over. Everything is just, you know, so that's my favorite thing.
From the second you see the second eyelid drop, like, you knew it was on, like, Donkey Kong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, when me and Sandra saw that, now granted, we were quiet after we saw the movie, but that moment, we were both looking at each other with our mouths just open because now I could have done without the lasers. I ain't gonna lie. Like, the lasers were a little bit too much for me, you know, but that first belch of flame that just engulfs the entirety of his mouth and he just blows all over the city, I'd have been fine with that. No lasers, whatever. But again, never seen that before.
Yeah. Yeah, just so unique. Like so unique for this version, this interpretation of Godzilla to do those things. Like
Yeah.
with especially I'm not a fan of the laser stuff myself, but it just who would have ever actually thought of that? That it not only comes out of his mouth and the way his mouth opens to cause the heat ray, but it comes out of his back, it comes out of his tail, like this craziness. And shout out to our friend Ed Holland out there, aka the voices of the B2 bomber.
What's going on, man? But yeah, that was my favorite, I guess, moment from Shin Godzilla. So let's try to land this plane here, because again, we talked about your experiences and ties with the 311 disaster, how that all slides into Shin Godzilla, how some people should take another look at this film, not be so dismissive. Hopefully Frank have provided some insight that will make you understand Shin Godzilla a little bit better. Again, don't expect it to be in your top 10 or your favorite. But again, I saw a lot of judging on this film when it first came out. I think a lot of it was because it was so different. It wasn't the standard norm of a Godzilla film. But again, that was the purpose of this stream, was to give a unique perspective on what really happened. And because again, Frank to me is like if you would come in contact with somebody who was a survivor of the Nagasaki and Hiroshima bombings and the Lucky Dragon #5 incident. All that inspired the original Godzilla. So to come in contact with somebody like that can tell you their story, that were there during those moments. Frank is the equivalent of that, with him being there for 311. So with that being said, like when it comes to the Reiwa era, do you think -1 has surpassed Shin Godzilla as the film, or you think Shin still has that place?
That is a hard question to answer. Like worldwide, I think Minus has surpassed just because of the nominations and the award winning. But I'm gonna say no. Like here in Japan, no, not yet. Even though they're so proud that Godzilla is finally being recognized, like in my coworkers that and Mark just brought it up in the chat. John Ruffin was here as well.
Yeah.
Like we try to get him on board for this, but it just didn't work out because of his schedule. But you know, he has a different retrospect on the event as well. But back to the question, I don't think here in Japan, no, because they re-released Shin for like 2 showings at the Roppongi Hills Toho Theater, right?
Okay.
And it sits about 150 people. Couldn't get tickets.
Wow.
It's sold out within like a few minutes. Like I think Kyle was able to jump on one of the later showings because they re-released all, like every Tuesday was one showing a week, and if I remember correctly, Kyle got to go see it, which I was super jealous because I never saw it in 4K. But I think they're gonna re-show it again. But all those showings were sold out, so I was like, oh wow. So it shows you the popularity. -1 is extremely popular, and obviously it's going to be hard to go see -0 when it does release. But sentimentally wise, I think Shin holds a very special place here in Japan.
Like I mentioned on our stream that we did with Kyle, I keep going back to that stream. Please check it out if you haven't checked it out. It's called War of the Godzillas. And I mentioned there that what I take away from both Shin Godzilla and -1 is that they're self-reflective stories on how Japan could have done better. At the end of both movies, the Japanese people realized, you know what, we could have done better. We could have done a better job preserving life. We could have done a better job getting the right information to our people. It's really a self-reflection story, both of them individually, of how, yes, we messed up, but at the end of the day, we recognize where we messed up, and hopefully we can do better the next time around. That's why I find these films, especially, from the Reiwa era, so so special. Not really into the anime, that's a different type of thing, but
Yeah.
I enjoy Shin Godzilla -1, Shin mostly for, at the end of the day, saying, you know what, we're gonna solve this. I know we got Big Brother that's trying to come in and solve it for us, but
Mhm.
but we're gonna get through this. And again, like I mentioned before, Shin Godzilla was the film that made me want to go to Japan in the first place. It made me want to experience Japanese culture firsthand and see how they do things over there. And again, without that movie, I don't think I would have ponied up the money to go there last year.
Mhm.
So I recognize how important this film is to the Japanese public, maybe more so than -1, even though -1 was more, I guess popular, or groundbreaking, because it got outside people, to come in. But I think John Ruffin said it best on mykaiju.com. Like, what this film was to the Japanese people was a really, really big thing. And if you don't get it, then it wasn't really meant for you. So I understand. So so with that being said, John, not John, but Frank, last question. Overall, like, what do you think Shin Godzilla's legacy will be?
I think Shin Godzilla's legacy overall, what we're going to see and look at it 20 years down the line, hopefully we're still around kicking rocks. But I think it's going to be seen as the gateway that really opened up for more controversial and how Godzilla could be taken as a serious film, just not, the silliness, or it's just a monster. That these films can actually be something that touches your heart, that you're deeply connected with because a message is sent throughout the film, and something that a non-Godzilla fan can connect with. I think that's going to be the long-term legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel, again, with 2014, and they played it safe with what they did with the character. I appreciate Shin for doing something so different, and I enjoy that it's a cinematic response to what really happened. I think that's a lot of the reason why I think a lot of Godzilla fans love Godzilla, because he's always tied, at least a good majority of them are tied to a real life situation.
Mhm.
Yes, he's a fantasy character. He's not real, but his origins often come from a real place, and often that place is a dark, tragic one. So I think that's why we latch on to him. Because at the end of the day, even though we love the happy-go-lucky Godzilla, the superhero Godzilla, the Godzilla that comes in and fights Hedra and all these wacky monsters and aliens, I think through it all, we love him because at the beginning of it all, there was tragic, and tragic evolved into what it has evolved into. So, but Shin Godzilla, again, celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, officially in July, because I think the movie came out in Japan July 2016. But the event that inspired that happened this week on Wednesday. So please be mindful of that, ladies and gentlemen, when you watch Shin Godzilla, or maybe if you want to do some research about where also, because there are a lot of things we didn't touch about when it came to 311.
Yeah.
There's a lot of heartbreaking stories out there as relates to that event. But if you want to go back and try to recover some of that information, please do so. Again, by watching this and maybe doing that, you might be able to understand Shin Godzilla a little bit better. So that was the purpose of this stream. So Frank, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and telling your story. As I mentioned earlier in our stream, you have been a strong supporter for Collect All Monsters basically since day one. Like you said, you started watching this, before the pandemic, which is right when we started. So you've been there for us since day one. And I can't begin to even describe how much that means to us, everybody that supported us all these many years. But to see that you were there from day one, and again, you're in the chats, you're on the group, you help us out when we go to Japan. Like, you have no idea how much of a blessing that you are, and thank God that you experienced 311 and you walked away from it. Some folks can't say that, so right there, you're a living testimony. So on behalf of Collect All Monsters, I'm sure everybody here in the chat, we appreciate you sharing your story, telling your story. Thank you so much. And if you have any parting words, the floor is yours.
No, just as we mark 15 years since the great earthquake and the tsunami, I just tell everybody, take your time, take your moment, say your piece with it. Pray for those who are still affected and those who haven't brought home their loved ones as we look back and try and offer. Take a moment and sit down and definitely rewatch this film and try and take retrospective and the perspective of so many others and question why this movie is so important to the Japanese people. Thank you again, Leslie. Thank you guys, all you guys, either whether it's David, Christine, John. I know he's not with you guys anymore, but thank you guys for everything. Kyle, obviously, because he's my homie on the other side of the bay. For everything you guys do. It's so nice, especially not being in the military anymore, having a community that I can lean out to and have a sense of purpose to try and share my experiences and help out each other.
Well, thank you so much. And David Dopko, I know you're in the chat. I know you probably just got here, but in the beginning of the stream, I don't know if you asked him yet. I asked Frank what was his first Godzilla movie that made him a fan, and of course, it's The Return of Godzilla 1984. I think he said he preferred 85, but he said his favorite movie is Mothra vs. Godzilla. So we got another one, Jonathan Portman. We got another one. He's with us. So because Kyle's is because Kyle he's so indecisive. He flip flops between Invasion of Astro Monster and GMK. Christine's is Biollante. John Ruffin, his was ironically Shin Godzilla or Mechagodzilla 74. But myself, Jonathan, and David, we're Mothra vs. Godzilla fans. So thank you so much for being a part. Really the cool kids, because we're the coolest ones. If we're really being honest, we're really the coolest ones. And everybody in chat, don't hit me up tomorrow. Well, he got beat by two babies, so how cool is it? I don't care. It's still an awesome film. So, it is what it is. But again, Frank, thank you so much for being here. And a couple things. Can't wait to see you at G-Fest. He said he's coming to G-Fest along with his wife and his son. Again, we got a big-ass Chicago deep dish pizza, coming your way. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, bruh, let me tell you, man, you're not going to want to get up from the table. That's the thing. It's like, we all packed there pretty much almost at the same time. Like on that Friday or that Saturday night, we all get together in the lobby and we always talk about, okay, where are we going? And sometimes we can be indecisive. And I'm like, look, I'm going to Giordano. So if you're going, there's like 3 or 4 seats in the car. So, and then we'll see just lots of people walking the block from the hotel to the restaurant, right? And when we get there, we have the whole place on lock. There's insides, there's an outdoor patio, and all you see is nothing but Godzilla nerds in Godzilla shirts talking about Godzilla eating that pizza. So, hey, again, me and Sandra are gonna have a rental car. You and the family, you already got assigned seats, so we got you on that. Okay. Also, again, Frank, John Ruffin was supposed to be a part of this discussion, but I think his birthday is coming up real soon, and he got something to do this weekend. He said he was going to. He said he was going to Bible study, but we know he's going to the strip club. Let's just be honest. It's like, he's making it rain right now. I don't blame. I'm just joking. But actually, you know what? On Kaiju Live this week on What's New in Kaiju, we're all going to have John Ruffin there as a special guest. And he's basically going to talk about 311 from his perspective as well. The same that Frank did here, we're going to do it on Kaiju Live this coming Wednesday on 311, ironically. And after that, we have our next monthly episode, March episode of Collect All Monsters, going down this same bat time, same bat channel next week. We haven't really decided what we're going to talk about just yet. We're still ironing it out. But trust me, if you're part of our group, you'll definitely know real soon. But you already know it's going to be a fun episode. No matter what we're talking about, it's going to be a fun episode. So we got some great content coming your way for the foreseeable future. But in the meantime, thank you, Frank, for sharing your story. We really, really do appreciate it. And everybody who's misinformed about Shin Godzilla, or maybe you just have a misunderstanding about it, and maybe you want to have a reason to go back to it if you haven't seen it in a long time, go to the beginning of the stream, Frank dropped some knowledge and some gospel on us. And hopefully you'll go back and rewatch Shin Godzilla. So again, Frank, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. Really do appreciate it. Everybody in chat, thank you so much for being here. Sorry for the technical difficulties midstream, but thank you to Jonathan and Kyle for saving my behind. I really do appreciate it, because I was like Godzilla at the end of 54 with the options. I was like,
it's all good. It happened.
Yeah, I was, but thank you for everybody for being understanding about this. Really do appreciate it. So, and you have not seen the last of Frank on this show. Trust me, we're going to talk about other things that he has interest in as relates to Collect All Monsters. So you have not seen the last of him. As a matter of fact, he's going to be part of our Collect This Moment next Saturday on our next episode of Collect All Monsters. As a matter of fact, Frank, before you go, why don't you show off some of your Shin stuff before we go?
Oh yeah, so I got a couple of pieces here.
Yeah, go for it, man.
All right, so the first one I just done bagged in front of Leslie before we started. I got this basically like 2 weeks ago, because I have the ability of going to T-base up in Ikebukuro. I got the Tree Frog Shin. I have another one up there. I have the purple version. I wasn't able to get this at Wonderfest, but I'm able to actually just go to the store and pick up like most of the stuff. Like some of the items that they have at Wonderfest, they don't ever sell at the store, but like 90% of the stuff that they release there, and then they say they sell out, it just shows up at the store. So I kind of hinted like I'm not really pushing there. I can just go pick it up afterwards. So I added that bad boy to my Shin collection. Now I have the collecting conundrum of figuring out where to put it, because limited space there. My other piece I'm just gonna show off too. I also picked up I picked this up at Wonderfest this year. This is the new colorway of Passion Tank.
Okay.
My son got the purple version with the mouth open, that you can see on Passion Tank. But he claimed that. He said, "Daddy, that's my Godzilla." So I'm like, yeah, please don't damage that. And that's not cheap. But I got this bad boy sitting here with this pretty evil looking smile, and he's up there with my little fan. If you guys can see that fan, that's one of the fans that families would buy and they would place in their windows during the war, much like here in America. In America, you have the single star to represent people were serving their country for their family. But yeah, 2 little pieces. I have a bunch of different stuff, whether it be Mora-san, T-base, Sun Guts, whatever. I have a bunch of Shin Godzilla stuff, but like I said in the beginning, you gotta take it seriously, slow down. There's so much on the market, but I want to present it in a way that I can truly appreciate.
Is that your favorite Godzilla to collect? Shin Godzilla?
It's my favorite Godzilla by far. It's not my favorite kaiju, but
what? Quick question. Besides Godzilla, what's your favorite kaiju then? Just to learn more about you. We got 3 minutes. We got time to kill.
It's my Hedra. I love.
Oh, you're a Hedora fan?
Oh, I'm a huge Hedora fan.
Oh, you and Sandra, yeah, y'all gonna have lots to talk about come G Fest. She loves Hedra.
Yeah. I love him. And then right near the beach where Shin comes up on the shores, it's a launching point where I go kayak fishing. Is the scene where the kid holds the knife up.
Oh, really?
So that's like 30 minutes from my house.
Oh, for real?
So if you guys ever come back down here, I'll take you to that spot.
Oh, you mean the one where he? I don't know why he thought that knife would protect him from. You know what? That's a great idea. When we do a Hedra collectible discussion, because I think there's 1 or 2 collectibles out there, just 1 or 2, maybe.
Yeah, just 1 or 2. About 4 shelves for me.
Yeah, when that happens, you're coming back for that.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I would fully appreciate it if you bring me back for this bad boy if you do the 70th, since I own a house right near Rodan's Bridge. Oh, hey, you, Greg Benton, hey, I'm fine with 2 guest hosts to talk about Rodan. Hey, I'm all for that. I might even go back to Sasebo for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because I know at some point we're going to talk about Rodan. I mean, we're talking about Mothra in May. Maybe we can do Rodan. Maybe April. I'm gonna try and convince the crew to do April. Okay. I know July is G-Fest weekend, and and after that August. But I don't want to wait that long to talk about Rodan, so I'm gonna try and push for that Rodan show to happen next month, because there's a lot to talk about Rodan. I mean, well, as far as Showa, but because I think he took a nosedive after the show appeared. But that's another story for another time, ladies and gentlemen. But again, thank you, Frank, for being here, for telling your story in regards to 311, as well as Shin Godzilla. We really do appreciate it. You have no idea what this means to us. You know, you dropping that knowledge, you dropping the numbers. Again, it was uncomfortable at the beginning. But again, I feel like these uncomfortable conversations need to happen to have a better understanding of these stories, and not to quickly dismiss them because it doesn't fall in line with your interpretation of Godzilla. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully Frank provided that. I know he did, because there were some things I didn't know about. He dropped that really just hits you in, like a gut punch. But all that's in the beginning of the episode. But again, thank you to Frank for being here. Again, thank you to Kyle and Jonathan for helping me out. Of course, David's in the chat. We do appreciate the support. Everybody in the chat, thank you for your support. And we will see you on the next Collect All Monsters episode, going down next weekend, same bat times, same bat channel. Now, until next time, our planet may be doomed, our Earth devastated, the monsters are in revolt, and civilization is in chaos. We must unite and say it with me, Frank, and collect all monsters. And rewatch Shin Godzilla. Stop fronting. You know you want to watch it. All right, folks. You have a good night.
Good night.